nominated by the Interim National Trustees Council. It is sort of the knack of the NGC. And that knack of the NGC, which they are calling the Interim National Trustees Council, have also endorsed the national executive members that were interim. The interim national executive members have been endorsed to continue in their various positions, and now voting has started for the flag bearer of the party. 3 people have been nominated, and the nomination process is limited to the Interim National Trustees Council, which is sort of the knack of the NGC. They were granted the power to nominate people, and 3 people have been nominated in the person of Madam Sakwi, Mr. Michael Jallo, and Dr. Kande Kole Yumkela. These are the 3 people that have been officially nominated to contest the election of flag bearer of the NGC. Voting has commenced, with Dr. Dennis Bright being the first person to vote among the national founding executive members of the party. We still have with us our guest in the studios, and it is now time for me to move to Mohammed Kane, the debate chief, national coordinator of the Sierra Leone Debating Council, to give us his take of the process thus far, as we have seen from the pictures coming in from the southern city of Bo. Over to you, Kane.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fonti. And we have seen exactly what's happening in Bo. And that tells you that democracy itself is at play. But also, again, it also asks a question when we talk about democracy, what actually we mean. Because each and every individual do have his or her interpretation about democracy. And what we have seen also happening is that I am yet to actually know how the Electoral College came about, because that's also key in all of these. And but prior to this time, we all know that there was a press release that all the KKY movement members were now members of the NGC. So if that's the case, then executive members of those respective groupings are as well the same members now belonging to the NGC. But what that brings also into modern democracy is that it appears that there had been people already in one political party, like the SLPP in this case, and at the same time also fighting or coming up with a different plan in order to set up a different political party. So this boils around, in fact, the sincerity of what exactly we
and
are
again,
saying
in as much as we are still asking questions as to how the Interim National Trustees Council of the NGC was formed, are you also comfortable with the fact that the authority to nominate flag bearer aspirants was limited or was given to the Interim National Trustees Council? Some people were expecting that the general membership or the delegates should have been empowered to nominate.
Whether I'm comfortable or not, I am not a member of NGC. So the comfortability of that process actually is largely dependent on the membership and whatever the outcome will be.
It's a question of, is that democracy to you?
Well, I have said initially that, you know, democracy is being interpreted by different people different way. And also, what is very much clear here is that the nomination is only limited to the trustee council, and ideally enough, I think if delegates are there, you know, other members belonging to the NGC, and they are delegates, ideally enough, they should have also that you know, responsibility, or that particular mandate should be also given to them to nominate, than leaving it only to the National Trustees Council. Because the reason is, leaving this one to only the National Trustees Council, it means that this is just a small body, like, not small body, second highest body being like how we have the NAC and the NEC in both APC and SLPP respectively, and you are now leaving this nomination process only to that set of people, it means that they already have a mindset. If those people are having a mindset around certain individuals, then that will not actually augur well for all other delegates.
Well, maybe someone will argue that this is a new political party. It is at the budding stage, and the people at the helm of the Interim National Trustees Council know better about the ideologies of the party, about the individuals coming forward for these positions. So maybe it is just but fitting at a time like this to give them the authority to nominate these leaders, and from those that are nominated, the general membership or say the delegates will now elect these people into office?
Well, being a new political party is not an excuse in terms of democratic practice, because the reason is all of these political parties have gone through the rules and regulations that are governing registration of political parties. And in this case, we all know that all political parties that have registered with PPRC and by extension also NEC, that will be conducting the elections, they all have this guiding principle. So
but those
at this point
principles
in time,
do not include the ideology of these political parties. So maybe at a time like this, someone will say it is better to have people at the helm directing the ideologies. Because I bet you, ask NGC members right now, all they know is Nakanda Yumkela and Party.
Good.
They do not even know what is the constitutional dictates of the party.
Good. It boils around the question, why membership to respective political parties? How can you be a member of a political party without even knowing the ideology? And also, if
you have thousands of those, of those members in the APC, SLPP, and all
I
other
agree
political
completely.
parties. So it is not unique with the
I agree
NGC.
completely. I agree completely. That is also the responsibility of the respective political parties to be actually educating their membership in line with their ideology. Because if you are just opening membership to everybody...
That brings us to the question of time. Does the NGC have enough time to really contest the 2018 elections?
I would say yes. And even if that convention... even if we say the election is tomorrow and NGC is having their convention today, I would say yes, that's enough time.
Would they have enough time to educate their supporters or convince other people
education
to vote
is not a one-off thing, Fonty. We have to know that education is a process. And by process, I mean even from the point of actually having your registration, your membership card, you need to be educated about the ideologies of the party. How can you just belong to a grouping without knowing exactly what that particular grouping is about? That's the problem altogether. So, in a nutshell, I think also this particular process, if at all we are talking about good democratic processes, it should have been open to all the delegates, those who are actually delegates, to have that leverage to
now let me move
and at the same time vote for the respective people who are contesting.
Now let me move on to Alhaji Saidu Kamara. I want us to discuss pace at which the NGC convention is going. It would seem as the speed, some people will not be comfortable with the speed that this convention is taking. We had someone announcing that lawmaker can quick.
Well, actually...
Are you comfortable with the speed?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we are just analyzing the situation there, because I'm not a member, so I cannot be the most suitable somebody to answer that question, whether if I'm suitable, because I'm not part and parcel.
But you are a Sierra Leonean, and this is a process, although an internal process in a political party, but this is a process that is going to put forward a leader that could likely become the president of Sierra Leone. So would you be comfortable for us to do it quickly and forget about it, as it was in the case of the APC?
Well, as far as the NGC is concerned, they have put structures in place, and so far so good. We have heard from the whole, there are 3 candidates emerge as for the flag bearership position, and voting is now going on. Among these 3, you have the most prominent one there, Dr. Akande Yomkela. You have the only female member there, the person of Dosi Kotekwi, and then you also have Michael Jallo from Ile, Tonkolili district. So the election is going, the people are going to decide. But what we want to see here is that in as much this is a new political parties, we are not going to underestimate them, because they said they have come for a change, you see. According to them, they said that for the past 56 years, they are not seeing any too much of improvement as far as they are concerned. So therefore, they wanted to change the barrier from the traditional party, the SLPP, as well as the APC, the ruling party.
And the fact that the nomination was not open to the delegates. This morning, our reporter on the ground told us that there were supporters chanting slogans in favor of Mr. Andrew Kiley. So could this possibly be that Mr. Andrew Kiley, for example, or other people that had intentions, quiet intentions, for the flag bearer position of the NGC have been disadvantaged by limiting the nomination to only the Interim National Trustees Council? Why not open it to the delegates?
Well, I don't know how they set up their own decision, but the fact remains that they open up this to the general public. As long as you are a member, it doesn't mean that when they go there, I think prior before today now, they have opened that to the general public so that people can send names, those who want to contest. And since it's a new political party, they decided that they want to make a special reference to those who are the founding members. And if you are not one of the founding members, definitely maybe you are not qualified. They put up their criteria. Mind you, you should know that this is a new political party, and they want to ensure that people that matter with the party, people that has the party at interest, maybe that's what they decide to do. Okay. But again, at one point I want to also not to underplay here is the issue of this coalition issue. I can recall when some of my colleagues over there, we are discussing about this issue. From look at the things that when people are giving their felicitation to give support to this new political party, from Bamidele Thompson from the PNDC, he was telling the audience there that one of their objectives, as far as they are concerned, is to how to unseat the ruling APC. And therefore, they should all come together and see our best. So the question is, how are they going to do that? You understand? How are they going to do it? It's very simple, based upon the elections. Okay? Now, let's say, for instance, the 2018 elections, Party A comes first, Party B comes second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth. Then that's where the issue of this coalition is going to come. Mind you, it's going to based upon the positions. You understand? We already had the first position there. Let's say, for instance, the SLPP has the highest position, then you have the other second position from the EPC. It's now the responsibility of the EPC to see how best they are going to collaborate with these other political parties, because they need their support. They have already come second. Okay? Maybe it just means about 8% for them to win the general election. So their task now is how to convince other parties, these other small parties. Okay. If the SLPP also be on the second position or the first position, okay, going for second rounds, they need also the support of these other political parties. But you should understand that the basic aim of all these political parties is to unseat the APC.
Okay.
That's their fact.
Okay, Alhaji Saidu Kamara. And that brings me to Thomas Babadi. Is it possible that the founding members of the NGC, the Interim National Trustees Council of the NGC, are so loyal to Kande Kole Yumkela to an extent that they could not afford surprises? That is why the nomination process was not open to the delegates, but to the Interim National Trustees Council?
Well, for me, I think the convention is like a facade. You know, it's a facade. Secondly, we should not be kind of a spilled milk. We've seen what has just happened.
Okay. It is
very, very clear that Dr. Yumkela will emerge victorious. Secondly, I think for that Yumkela has shown interest in Sierra Leone's politics. He should be given an opportunity for his face to be on the ballot box. Let us see what happens. But again, the political atmosphere in Sierra Leone, is it suitable for Dr. Yumkela and the NGC for a third party. Mind you, since the 1960s, the APC and SAP, they've been dwarfing other political parties. The PNP was killed by Sir Milton Magai. Sir Art's party was killed by Sir Milton Magai. Later, John Kavasmat came in the 70s. His party was killed by Sega Stevens. Yeah? Going forward, in the 1990s, Tim Monga and others, they all emerged as political parties, PDP, all sorts of parties. Break away from APC. The NBC came in. Later, SAP came back to the political landscape. Now, what is happening now? Do you think other political parties will emerge victorious? Now, they're doing very well. They're in bold, conducting themselves, but I advise that they should not have any iota or any pocket of resistance or doubt or fracas between themselves after the convention. Compose themselves, come downtown, or go back to
do you envisage that comportment? Do you envisage that these people will come out of that hall without reservations
from the
now that the process is not opened to all the delegates?
The convention is pre-arranged. But I am going, a member from KKY or whatever political party I am coming from, I'm going there to support the process.
Why would you think it's pre-arranged when people are voting now?
You just
secret ballot.
You just have the NAC, like you said, SAP NEC, APC NAC, deciding who should be nominated. That's it. It's pre-arranged.
All right, it's pre-arranged, and would you agree with that? And owning to the fact that even one of the presidential or the flag bearer aspirant refuses for her face to be put on the ballot box. She said, no need, everybody knows her, even though I'm hearing her name for the first time.
Yeah, I think one thing we should think about, we shouldn't labor so much on how the party goes about selecting their candidate, because if you think about it, all around the world, it happens the same way. You think of the great America, you know, we have super delegates for the Democrat Party, and the Republicans do it differently. And so it's a political party. They agree on what they have to agree on. There is probably a constitution, and members know what they were going into, and then they did a selection.
Well, the Constitution does not include a provision that the Interim National Trustees Council should nominate members that want to go for the position. Yeah. So maybe the party was just too scared of any surprises. Like if the nomination was open to the delegates, we'll have had names like the Andrew Kailis or Imran Silas, etc., be nominated for the flag bearer position.
Right, and that's important because it is something the NGC will have to deal with, and then they will have to deal with that coming out of the convention if that's the case. But what should be most important in the discussion here is the NGC putting forward the candidate that could win in 2018, and a candidate that can match the other, you know, the APC or the SLP.
And do you think the candidature of Kandekole Yumkela, as it is likely possible, highly possible that he's going to emerge from the NGC, is he fit enough to contest against Julius Madabio, Kandekole, I beg your pardon, Julius Madabio, Mr. Samura Kamara, and Kamarimba?
I think he is fit. I think, you know, leadership doesn't have to come with qualifications, and that's sometimes the mistakes we make. You know, to be a leader, you just have to be able to know that I can bring in Mr. Thomas, who has this idea in economics, to be my finance minister. I can basically coordinate things at that top and be able to be effective in implementing things. So Kande Yumkela has the credibility, he's performed, he has the qualifications, but the difficulty, the thing is, elections is about counts, it's about numbers. And at the end of the day, whether he's fit or not, or whether any of the other, you know, Mr. Samura Kamara from the ruling party or Madabio is fit, it's about how they connect to the base, how they connect to people, and how are they going to get those votes. And the questions we should be actually thinking about is, okay, the NGC is here, and it's about 3 to 4 months before elections, right? Against an established ruling party that has a very good ground game, you know, and then with an electoral map that is actually split down the middle in this country. And so it has to be, you know, is this someone who is highly disruptive? Meaning, when I say disruptive, it's not the bad disruption, but being able to kind of change the landscape very quickly. Now, we have to think about all the assumptions that we are making also are based on maybe old assumptions when WhatsApp and Facebook and other things were not there. Things are changing very fast. If you think of it, all of 2016 to now, elections have been surprises. We elected Trump, who never had any organized campaign in America. And then also you've seen Macron come in France from nowhere and gain power. And so things are changing, and you know, and we have to think of the factor that Sierra Leone is made up of a very young population right now. There's a significant base. There's a significant base of those young people who are exposed to social media and exposed to other ways, and there is also a significant proportion of women who are a greater percentage of the population. So all of those have to come in play, and we have to then think of whether or not there could be a major surprise issue.
That was Professor Dr. Alhaji Njai helping us here to analyze the situation as it is happening currently from the southern city of Bo, where NGC and its supporters are converging to elect the flag bearer and other executive members that are supposed to take the party to the 2018 elections. Our team in Bo is all set to give us live commentary.